will you read the learning goals for us today, please? Actually, read the first one and consonants. Okay, consonants. Ashton, you will. Wonderful. Okay, look at this learning goal. I want you to read it over silently for 30 seconds. Think about words you know or do not know. Get ready and action. Go. Really good question, Nathan. Thank you for asking that. I'm glad you did because we're going to take notes on this on the next page. What's another unfamiliar word in here? Stephanie, what do you see in this next sentence that's unfamiliar? Yes, constant proportionality. Does anyone know what constant means? Ellie? Ongoing. Yeah, maybe ongoing. What else does constant mean? Oscar? Repeatedly, yes, something that doesn't change. Do you guys remember this word proportional from the last unit? What does proportional remind you of? Can someone raise their hand? Yeah, Marina? Scale factor, great, perfect. Yeah, we'll be talking about proportional relationships that are direct. I will give you all some notes in the next slide. Okay, so this is where you should actually take notes. Okay, you can put these in your math workbooks. On the top of your workbook page, write Unit 3, Lesson 1 vocab, and this is where you will start. I will leave these up on the board. This is our new Unit 3 vocab. Yeah, question? Yes. For today, you can go to page 7. Thank you. And it is a notice and wonder. Okay, I want you to put all and any observations about what you notice about these two graphs. So your notice should be first impressions between these two, or maybe just one in specific. Wonder will also be just any questions that come to mind. What do you think is going on in this picture? What are we wondering about? Absolutely anything. You can put those in the warm-up. Oscar, please go to page 7. And Oscar, what are we doing for this warm-up? Good. Yes. So you can write that on those sticky notes, and then we'll put them on the board. Good. Make sure you write a complete sentence. Yeah. Okay, let's have Rena and then Eduardo and then Nathan, and then we'll have some other volunteers. Share with me what you notice and what you wonder. We'll start with what do you notice about these two pictures? What do you notice, Rena? Really, really good vocab. If everyone heard that, she found the x-axis moves by 2. We label this as the x-axis. It increases each time by 2. What's the label on this one, Brenna? What's the label on this one? Yeah, so it's labeled distance travel. Okay, someone else. Eduardo, what else do you notice about this? There's what? There's more letters on this. There's no letters. Oh, there's no labels. Good. No labels. Nathan, what do you wonder about these two graphs? Stop talking. Good. I wonder why they're rectangles instead of squares. Are you talking about in the graph? Doesn't look super even. Good. What else do people notice? Yeah, Millie?
I noticed.
Yeah, you want to you do it.
Okay. Why isn't there points between G and R?
Why isn't there points? Oh, right here. Oh, so this is line G and line F. Yeah, good wonder. Why aren't there points? So here are 2 points. Let's see what else people wrote. I noticed that there are graph only has 1 line, the other graph has 2. Notice that the graph there are 2 lines, and that's 2 points. So this graph only has 1 line, good. And this one people notice there are 2. What do you think that this graph is measuring? What do you think that this graph is measuring? Yeah, Diamond? Yeah, distance. And how fast someone maybe elapsed time, so how fast they're traveling. The slope would be for this time depth graph, this speed graph, yeah, Marina? Yeah, 2 or 4. Good. Okay. Okay, good job. All right, let's give you 1.2. And I want you to look at page 8 and tell me what you notice. What do you see on this page? Yeah, Nathan? There are 2 graphs. Good, perfect. What do you notice about the relationship between these 2 graphs? Is there a relationship? Yeah, Angel? Yes, correct. Okay, anyways. Joanna, will you read question 1 for us? Good. So each tick mark represents 1 centimeter. That means that right here, this is 0 tick marks. So they've moved 0 centimeters. Right here, they moved 1, 2, 3, 4, and the ant has moved 6. So each tick mark represents a centimeter. Okay. So number 1 asks, how long does it take? Number 1 asks, lines U and V, shown on our graph, which I'll change slides to, show the positions of an ant and a ladybug. Okay? Which one shows the ant's movement? So these 2 graphs are directly related. These 2 graphs have a proportional relationship, okay? And one of these lines represents the ant and one represents the ladybug. So how we're going to figure this out is I'm going to see how fast each of these bugs are moving at each of these timestamps, okay? So at 2 seconds, how fast or how far has the ladybug moved? At 2 seconds, how far? Yeah, actually 4 ticks, meaning 4 centimeters. Good. And then what about the ant? Ani, how far has the ant moved at 2 seconds? 6. Good. Okay. So these 2 graphs are related. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this graph. And we're going to have to label this graph as well. Okay. So do you think, looking at this y-axis, how far am I moving up in this graph? Am I moving by 1s or by 2s? Yeah, Tony? 2. So I'm moving 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 6, 8, and 10, just like what you can see over here. And these are all moving by 1, 2, 3. So you can label your graph as well. Okay, so let's try and let's do the ant first. So the ant is moving 4 or 6 centimeters at 2 seconds, okay? Are the seconds is the time my y-axis or my x-axis? Yeah, Ashton? But yeah, the y-axis. So I'm going to look at the y-axis. I'm going to look at 2 seconds. And now I'm going to look to see at 6 on my distance traveled. So go to 2. I look over at 6. Find 6 centimeters traveled. It pairs up right here, so that's how I can find out that this is my ant line. Based on these 2 lines, do you think that U or B is traveling more centimeters in less time. Yeah, Marina? Yeah, B is. And that's how I know they're going faster. So you can see it more clearly on this graph. I want you to finish activity 1.2 and take like 5 minutes. Okay. Which one was easier for you to figure out the answer? The linear graph? Why was the linear graph easier? How did you find it? Yeah, to do some. And then, so one thing also that is helpful is just drawing a line, see like this, through that 12. Let's move on now to 1.3, which we didn't get to. Who remembers these tables? Raise your hand if this looks familiar to you. Good. Okay. This definitely looks familiar. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a proportional table with this ant and ladybug graph. And we're going to start, I think we're just going to do the ladybug. Before we do that, here's an example. This table represents the relationship between, it's a proportional relationship between the distance traveled, right, miles traveled, which is our y-axis, and the time passed, so the hours spiked. So if we were to create a graph, these would be our x coordinates, and these would be our y coordinates. So for this first line right here, what would my what would my point be? What would this point be for this first line? 12. How far? I think that's it. Okay, so I guess we only have this far. Now what I'm going to have you do on this sheet of paper, which I'll collect, I want you to create a table graph for our ant. And what you're going to do first is fill out that time, and then correspond those 2, 4, 6, and 8 seconds with how far the ant is traveling, and you'll put that in the X. Observe a table. That time should be exactly like. Okay, so this activity is going to be a little tricky. I want you all to try number 1 on your own. Genesis, will you read number 1 for us, please? Okay, good. So read that through again by yourself. And I want you to think about what this question is asking you to do. Okay? So read through number 1, you're going to just do this on your own. And we'll look at what it's asking us to do. Okay? Make sure you have a note about this equation. Here's a revisit to our goals for today. I want you to reflect on these, and I will come around and you can see how we did today.